honoring Jesus Christ, and we're going to honor Jesus Christ very powerfully throughout our lives, all throughout our lives, not just now, all throughout our lives. We're bringing religion back in America. We're bringing a lot of things back, but religion is coming back to America. That's why you see the kind of numbers that you're seeing, the spirit and the kind of numbers that you're seeing. So we're going to come down and join you right now, but I just want to wish everybody once again, happy Easter, and enjoy your lives. We're going to have a great 4 years. And these people do like Israel.
Hold on. And he loves Israel too.
It's true.
2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. 6 years ago, I was up here, and I said, "This is our first Jewish president."
It's true.
Now he's the first Jewish president to serve two not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
And these people do like Israel.
Hold on.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And those are the names of who the world ignorantly calls God and the only begotten Son, Jesus. Okay? Now, what you saw was the president then claiming to believe or hint or insinuate that he was a Christian and he believed in Jesus just earlier this year around Easter or so. And then a recent video a couple of days or so ago of him concurring with the radio host that he is the first Jewish president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, okay? And this is what you call speaking out both sides of your mouth, all right? Because on one hand, he's saying he's one thing, which is a Christian, and then on the other hand, he's saying he's another thing, which is a Jewish, okay? And we know for the most part, the state of Israel, which was formed back in 1948, have no belief in who they call Jesus, okay? But to the constituents of his that voted for him, he gave you the illusion that he was a born-again Christian, okay? Especially once he, quote-unquote, survived that alleged assassination attempt, all right? That raised his likeness to the point where it helped, secured his presidency, all right, of being the 47th president, all right? But now that he's getting into office, he's pretty much said, "The hell with you people," all right? You MAGA, make America great again, because that was one of your promises he ran on, okay? That he's going to get back to that good old Judeo-Christian, type of religion, belief, okay? Well, we see he's done just that. He started off by being Christian, and now he's switched over, or he's came out forthright and agreed and said, yes, he is the first Jewish president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, all right? And a lot of MAGA supporters aren't going to, sit well with that, all right? Especially with the midterm elections coming up next year, all right? So his votings or his, likeness could pretty much taint and drop from that, all right? Because they already feel that he's sending way too much help to the state of Israel. Now with this latest, incident made public and him not, denying it, that shows you all the more who pockets that he's really in, all right? Who he really pays, who does he really pay homage to, all right? And it's not you Americans, okay? You've been lied to. You've been bamboozled, all right? And it's to be expected. This is Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiasticus 10 and verse 2. It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Right. And we see how wishy-washy he is, all right? But he doesn't believe in any of this mumbo jumbo anyways, okay? Jesus Christ or this or that. He believes in whoever pays him the most, okay? And that is the state of Israel, all right? For the most part, okay? That's who pockets that he's in. That's who he belongs to, all right? So he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, all right? And you people been had, all right? You people have been had, okay? You MAGA, Make America Great Again supporters have been had, all right? You put all your faith in this one man, and he's come up short time after time after time, all right? Now, he claims he's brought inflation down. He claims that gas prices are now down. He claims that egg prices in the supermarket are now down. Well, what the hell is all that supposed to mean at the end of the day when you can't afford somewhere to sleep? When you can't afford somewhere to lay your head at? What good is having eggs if you don't got nowhere to cook them at? What good is having inflation go down if you can't afford rent? See? You people, you just get had time after time after time. When will you wake up? All right? But you're never going to wake up. All right? That's part of the allure or the illusion of Babylon the Great. Okay? Now, this is James 1 in verse 8. It reads, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. See? So as is the judge or the ruler or the king, so are the people. All right? And he's putting you in that double-minded, speaking out both sides of your mouth mindset. Okay? They just playing with you. All right? One term, they'll put a Democrat so-called president in, and the next term they'll put a Republican president in. All right? They just play you like a fiddle. All right? That's all they do. They play with you. Okay? They use you like a badminton. All right? They hit you back and forth. Next year or next term or next presidency, they'll probably put a Democrat back in. All right? To keep you, somewhat engaged in their politics. All right? Which is nothing but a bunch of hogwash. All right? Because you'll never have anything in this society, man. It's not set up for you to own or have anything. As the so-called quote-unquote great Klaus Schwab said, you will own nothing and enjoy it. That's what it's meant to set up for. You're never going to own anything, and you're going to enjoy it. All right? Because why? You have no other option. Okay? You've come to the conclusion that this is the best you can get. All right? Settling for a pack of eggs less than $4 or $5. Settling for gas prices that aren't $15 or $10 anymore. This is the best you're going to get. You're never going to own anything. You're always going to be a modern day slave, okay? That's it, all right? And you're going to be a modern day slave to what? The state of Israel, okay? Because why? Almost all, or should I say 99.999% of these presidents are in the back pockets of the state of you-know-who, the 48ers, all right? They're Zionists, okay? So it says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? And this is what they have the people to be, double-minded, all right? Because now, what are the people going to go to now? Now that he showed what you believe to be his true colors, that he backs and support the state of the 48ers. Now you're going to ride it out with him? No, because you were persuaded or sold on the back of he's a born-again Christian. He survived that alleged assassination attempt. But now we see that was all a cover-up to what? Get you to vote for him. So now what are you going to do? Be a far-right wing MAGA supporter? Be a Democrat supporter? You're going to be unstable. All right? This is exactly what Babylon produces, confusion. The word Babylon or Babel means to confuse. All right? And this is exactly what it has done to its citizens. It's confused them. That's why we are glad, proud to have received this knowledge where there's no confusion. All right? We have a peace of mind knowing that this place is coming to an end. All of its madness. Okay? Because why? It's being exploited daily. All right? You got brothers pumping videos out around the clock 24/7 exposing this place, man. All right? So this is just another reason why we're not part of this world, man. Because it's nothing but madness and confusion, okay? You can only be confused and double-minded if you allow yourself to believe this kingdom is going to continue to go on forever. And we know that's not biblical prophecy. We know that this place has an end date and we're fastly approaching that date. All praises. Call halal. All right? So let's go ahead and close out. Not going to make this too long. Point was made. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It tells us to do what? Be sober. Be vigilant. See, this is why we don't vote. This is why we don't partake in any of these politics, okay? Because we know they're all bought and sold for. All right? In some way, shape, or another, every politician, every mayor, every governor, whatever you want to call a judge, a ruler, king, they're all been bought and paid for by individuals that you will never see the likeness of. Okay? They give you the illusion that you have some type of, say-so in the matter, but at the end of the day, you don't. All right? You're just part of their pawn. You're just a pawn, pretty much. So we're sober enough to know that this is not our resting place. Micah 2 and 10. All right? We're not bought and sold like that. Okay? We have this truth, and that's what we're going to stand on, Lord willing, until the end. So it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. See? A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. These type of people are easy to persuade. All right? They're easy to persuade. All he had to do was stage a alleged assassination attempt, come up with a little bit of red sauce on his ear, say he believes in Jesus, he's now a born-again Christian, and that was enough to secure the vote for him. All right? Fast forward to December, a year and a half or so later, now he's siding or he's smiling to show that he does side with the fact that he's now the first president to serve two consecutive, or should I say the first Jewish president to serve two consecutive non-consecutive terms, man. Laughing in your face. All right? He's already in. Now there's nothing you can do. Now there's speculations and talk that if the midterms don't go according to plan, that there may be an impeachment. All right, but by that time, the damage may well be, already set in and done. Okay, so he could care less if he get impeached. All right? He may have already put the policies into place. He may have already implemented the mark of the beast, and this place may be by that time going to hell in a handbasket. Okay, so he could probably care less about some midterm elections next year. All right, by that time, America may very well be in turmoil. All right, and we praying that it does. We praying that it don't get to the mid-election. We praying that turmoil come as soon as possible. All right. What happened to your Affordable Care Act? They're talking about these citizens, you Egyptians, y'all going to be paying 30 to 150% more for Medicaid or Medicare attention. See? So he's talking about inflation down and egg prices are down and gas is down. But what about you Americans that need Medicare? Okay? Now he's claiming he's going to give the money back to the people in a new plan called Trump RX, but we'll see. Okay? We'll see. All right, because once he's done what he's done, which he's already did by getting into the president, he could care less. He's already been, bought and paid for by the 48ers, okay? So he just give you these little trinkets of cheap gas, cheap eggs, and so on and so forth. But he doesn't address the real cause or problems, which is what? Affordable rent, housing, things of that nature. Okay? Jobs, so on and so forth. All right? So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right? So that pretty much is going to end the conversation and the topic for the night. And with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.